What the actual F is wrong with Kanye West? And I know I should stop making videos about him, but God, it's like a train wreck and it's almost impossible to look away from this.
And real quick, before I go into work, I'm not about to let what Kanye said go over my head when he talked about the song that he dropped, Cousins, and what he did with his cousin. Some of y'all was like, some of the celebrities and stuff was applauding him for coming out and talking about his trauma. But really, all he did was talk about his cousin's trauma, because he said he did it up until he was 14.
Kanye West is at it again, and this time he released a song, and in that song, he talked about some of the things he used to do with his cousin while they were so young. And a lot of people didn't find this funny. A lot of people felt he shouldn't have come out to talk about it, especially with the fact that this is so-called cousin is in the prison now, is in jail for a crime he committed. I think he actually took the life of someone and is in jail right now. So a lot of people didn't see the need for him to talk about that. That is something he should have just kept to himself. So we're going to be looking at various reactions to that. And if you are new to this space, kindly subscribe to the channel, like the video, share, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and let's dive right into the video.
Now, listen, man. Kanye topping off his cousin till he was 14. That's bad. That's bad. Now, a lot of that stuff is starting to make sense. A lot of that shit is clicking now. I'm like, okay, I seen it a long time ago, but I ain't said nothing about it. But now I know for sure, for sure. That's bad, man. Can you imagine the trauma that this man is? Oh, my God. Well, I see why he walking around with the black KKK on and all that shit. I see why Kanye is out his mother mind.
What the actual F is wrong with Kanye West? And I know I should stop making videos about him, but God, it's like a train wreck and it's almost impossible to look away from this. This time he's talking about a situation that he had with a cousin when he was young. Apparently he has a song coming out called Cousins that talks about this, but apparently when he was younger, he found his dad's Playboys and showed these to his 6-year-old male cousin. Then he found the magazines his mom kept, which, as he puts it, were the opposite of what his dad had, showed those to his 6-year-old cousins, and then decided that he was going to recreate some of the acts together with them. Again, this is a very young child. And apparently this went on until Kanye was about 14 years old, where he talks about certain acts that he did with this child. Now, this cousin is currently serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole for taking the life of a pregnant woman. But who's to say that had Kanye not caused this kid the trauma that he did and abused him, which he's admitting to doing, which I don't know why you can't be arrested for that, this kid might have gone down a different path and might not be sitting in prison right now. Anyways, Kanye is a real problem.
And real quick, before I go into work, I'm not about to let what Kanye said go over my head when he talked about the song that he dropped, Cousins, and what he did with his cousin. Some of y'all was like, some of the celebrities and stuff was applauding him for coming out and talking about his trauma. But really, all he did was talk about his cousin's trauma, because he said he did it up until he was 14, and he blamed himself for showing his 6-year-old cousin those magazines and reenacting what was in the magazines. So it sounded to me like Ye was the predator. Don't let that go over y'all head. Like these spasms he be having, he be going off and all that stuff. He probably got a guilty conscience of what he did to his cousin, or more, or maybe something was done to him, or I don't know. But that man really needs some help. But don't let it go over y'all head that he was the predator. He the one who was doing the dirt, because he showed his cousin at 6 years old. Lord have mercy. Y'all missed that. That went over y'all head.
Kanye, what is going on? So let me get this straight, Kanye. You and your little cousin, when he was 6, we don't know how old you were, Kanye, but y'all found porno magazines in your mom's closet, and y'all reenacted out. Y'all reenacting the porno out, you and your boy cousin? And then you sucked this pee-pee all the way up to the age of 14? And decided to make a song about it, Kanye? Okay, this is a cry out for help, y'all. Somebody need to get this man some help. Listen, this is out of control, Kanye. You made a song about sucking your cousin's pee-pee all the way to 14 years old, Kanye? Y'all, go check this shit out, bruh. This shit dangerous. This is crazy. That's why you have to be careful who your kids go around. whether they family or not, because shit is getting out of control. Call me back.
So Kanye West tweeted yesterday that him and his cousin used to have relations when they were younger, up until the age of 14. He tweeted this. His male cousin used to have relations up until the age of 14. And he explains exactly what took place. He tweeted it yesterday, and he made a song about it. I think the song is called Cousins. So in that song, you know, he is telling the story of what transpired between him and his cousin when they were younger. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Free Wendy Williams and admit Kanye West, because that dude, he needs some help. And maybe he needs, I don't know, maybe this is something he had to get off his chest, but he just did it just like blatantly, like overnight. And then he writes a song about it. It's almost like he's promoting his album, but in a weird way. Anyways, Kanye, you need help. Free Wendy, admit Kanye.
Hey y'all, we gotta have another conversation. Did y'all hear about Kanye West coming out talking about he essayed his younger cousin when they were younger? Y'all, let's talk about it. So as the story goes, based on a song that he put out and some additional tweets that he put out on X, when Kanye was young, he and a younger cousin started to look at some very explicit magazines. In fact, Kanye is the one who introduced his younger cousin at the age of 6 years old. The younger cousin was 6 years old to these explicit magazines. Well, they started to act out everything they saw. So what that tells me is that they had some gender fluid magazines in there, because he said that they acted out everything they saw, right? And anyways, so they would continue doing this acting out until they were until Kanye was 14 years old, and then he told his younger cousin that they were no longer going to continue to reenact everything that they saw in these videos. In the song, Kanye gets pretty explicit about everything he did to his younger cousin. It's really sad, and it's really, really unfortunate, and it lends so many other questions, at least for me, to the state of his mental health. Well, time would go on, and I think they said just a couple years or a few years after Kanye, and actually Kanye's the one who said this, after he told his cousin they were no longer going to reenact the things that they saw in the magazines. The younger cousin went the bad way and ended up taking the life of a pregnant woman. It's not known for certain if the correlation between Kanye telling him or ending this relationship, because they were both minors, ending this relationship made his cousin feel some kind of way, or if the trauma itself from the acts of what they were doing made his cousin feel some way and kind of turned him into something he would not have otherwise been. It's unstated, right? However, Kanye makes a comment that he is in prison for the rest of his cousin's in the prison for the rest of his life, ever since he was a teenager, for taking the life of this woman, and how much he still loves his cousin. He acknowledges that he did something bad, but he loves his cousin, despite what his cousin did. You guys, this is really super sad, because this is the part of SA that no one wants to talk about, and that is how people cope with being SA'd, right? I talk about in my book, and even on this page, I have mentioned and even done the stories on men who have been SA'd when they were young, and then they would later on become extremely violent beings because of the trauma that they endured and everything going on the inside of them. So this is just another super sad story about child SA that ended in such a tragic ending, a loss of life of a woman, a minor child, ending up in prison for the rest of his life, and the predator, if you will, he was a child. Kanye was a child predator because he was the older cousin of the younger and introduced his younger cousin to this, going on to be famous and becoming this billionaire. Drop your comments in the chat and let's talk about this. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Kanye West's new song Cousins has the internet roaring around him trying to figure out what really went wrong. Huh? Kanye West's new song Cousins has the internet roaring around him trying to figure out what really went wrong. Now, at this time in America, we have dug a hole for Kanye and sat him there in timeout for as long as possible. But with this new statement coming out, with Tokyo saying what she said about Kim leaving his side, with what Boosie said, I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to understand the point of views of Kanye and how that could really mess with your mentality. Now, as the internet gets bigger, we always tend to turn our backs on people as soon as they show one sign of something we don't agree with. But what I say in this situation is here. We know that he lost his mom. We know that he feels alone. This is the time where we have to start getting behind people and finding out how can we help. Because regardless of what any of us think, Kanye is a great man, especially when it comes to beat making or being in the industry. He is one of the most underestimated people in the game. But we tend to continue to look at his outbursts and also the things that he says out loud that we know something is going on. Maybe he's off his meds. Maybe he's not getting the treatment that he needs. Or maybe it's all a ploy and all a part of the game to make sure that we don't listen to him because he knows some stuff that other people don't want to get out. In either way, shape, form, or fashion, Kanye, I'm here for you. And I pray that you really get better, brother, because I am such a fan of you. But it's time that we start really looking at when people make outbursts and stuff like Ye, just because they have a lot of money, money doesn't change a mentality. And we got to start standing together because when they let stuff like this out in the air, they want us to look dysfunctional, like we don't know what's going on and we turn our backs on our people. We got to start waking up, y'all. But I don't know. Tell me what y'all think. Y'all seen the post. Y'all seen what's been going on the last couple of days. That shit hurt, man. Especially to know that he has nobody in his corner that's like helping him out or rooting for him. I don't care how much money that man got. To feel alone is one of the most vicious things you could feel, bruh. Prayers for Kanye, bruh. And I hope you get better, man. That's some rough stuff. Y'all got to go read them articles. Check them out. Come back. Tell me what y'all think. I'm just a messenger.
That's some deep SHIT down there. This particular information is something that is so personal. I feel there are other ways he would have gotten over this trauma than coming out there and saying this in public. Yeah, he's got kids. I think as parents, when we are acting or doing some things, let us remember our children, even if they are still kids now. In some years' time, these kids are going to grow. They are going to come online and see these particular things their parents have done. And if care is not taken, some of them might get bullied in school. Some of them, these things get to affect them mentally. And as parents, we also have to be careful the things we keep around our children. How did he get those magazines? How did himself and his cousin had access to such magazines? Were those magazines found in the house? Were they found probably in the house of friends they visited? And somewhere else. As parents, we have to be aware of the things our children are exposed to. I understand it's not easy. You're going out there to make money to take care of these children. You're not readily available, but you've brought them into this world, so you have to make that time. You see a lot of parents out there doing overtime, like extra overtime. They are not there for their kids. Before you know, these kids start joining gangs. They start getting influenced by peers, and before you know, they are out of control. That child that you could control back then, right now you cannot control them. And if you look back, it's because you were not available for those children. So as parents, we really need to be careful. Kanye West is someone that has never shied away from using his songs as, confessionals, coming out to say stuff he's done and, talking about his life. But Cousins takes that vulnerability to an entirely new level. Whether viewed as a raw account of childhood trauma or a polarizing artistic choice. The song forces listeners to confront difficult conversations around abuse, family, and accountability. As the debate continues, one thing is clear. Ye has once again challenged the boundaries of what's acceptable in mainstream music. The real question is, are audiences ready or willing to engage with such deeply personal and controversial storytelling? So, guys, do you find this acceptable? Do you find it something he should have done? Kindly drop your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think this is some kind of artistic bravery or a step too far? If you've watched up to this point, then it means you found this video interesting. Kindly click on the subscribe button, like the video, share, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we are going to see in the next one. Bye bye.